theory that we're going to use when we apply it to inflation. Then when I discuss the actual GP sensitivity of inflation, I want to do it on the board so that we can discuss the basic aspects of it a bit more informally. And then the next question, in fact, I've always planned to do in slides because I want to survey kind of the different types of ideas that have been out there on realizing inflation string theory. And doing that on the board just wouldn't get me very far. Okay, so the next lecture will be one of the slides, this one will be split. Of course, this bunch of different slides is that first of all I actually hate doing it. And it has a danger that I go too fast. Okay? So please just slow me down by asking me questions and things like that I can go through. Again, we think that new physics comes in before that happens, and So my emphasis on scale that distance is discount string theory. So the lower you hit the energy supported the time scale, start resolving this one scale, structure this more complete theory. Okay. And so the equation most commonly is imagined to lie somewhere in between here. The processes that are described by the standard model can take the completion of the standard model of negative gravity. Since we have an inversion test of time trying to embed inflation into the standard model. Okay. This might change if we have better ideas of how to really do this, but at the moment it looks like we need some kind of the understanding model physics. And in the next lecture I'm going to describe how you might get at the understanding model physics from a more UV type of attitude. Okay. So let me go back and actually let's start by studying toy models of complete theories. So the toy model that I want to consider is a set of light fields, and I'm going to collectively call all of the light fields little y with masses equal to m. And then the heavy fields associated with the UV completion of that theory with heavy masses, with a larger mass capital N. There's a color scale that divides the regime of applicability of this effective theory, which has to be lower than the mass of these heavy states that I'm trying to integrate us. And so if the full theory is known and it is computable, so it's a Wiki coupled theory, for example, then we can in principle integrate all these heavy fields explicitly, which means that we can do the path integral in two steps. We can first do an integral of all of the heavy modes and the hybrid sticky modes that we'll be integrating from the hybrid distinct components of the light field. So then I get after the first integration, I get an effect of the light field, and do a second integration of all the light fields computes probably more. Okay. In practice, we rarely do this. If the theory is really weakly coupled, we can do a matching calculation. The scattering process is with external light particles have to agree in the effective theory and the full theory. Okay? So let me illustrate this with a simple toy model where I have two massive scalars. Here for the light field I'm also allowing for quantum coupling. And then these two scalars are coupled to each other by this marginal interaction. And there's a coupling strength G which defines how strongly these two fields are coupled to each other in the UV. Okay? So matching then means that I can compute scattering both in the effective theory and the full theory with just external legs because I'm doing things at low energy, so I'm not able to produce on-shell heavy particles. And so these amplitudes have to agree. So what I'm doing is I'm adjusting the coupling strength of the effective theory such that order by order in perturbation theory it agrees with the full answer. Okay? So for example, if I look at so the two scattering process, the effective theory that's described by some contact interaction, just like in full Fermi theory. In the full theory, there's a loop expansion that describes a three-level process, a one-loop process, and a high loops. So here the full theory I can do an expansion in the UV coupling. So this and at every order in the loop expansion, I'm adjusting the effective theory parameters to match this answer. Okay? So this is how we can construct, just at a diagrammatic level, we can construct the entire effective theory just by matching to the possible processes in the full theory that only have light states as external states and possible heavy states as virtual particles in loops. Okay. Okay, so then let me highlight that there are two effects that these heavy fields can have. So first of all, they can renormalize the IR couplings of the effective theory. So they renormalize the mass, for example, by renormalizing the one renormalization as a propagator, and they can renormalize the quantity coupling in the following way. So for this toy model, you can calculate what this one loop correction is for these quantities. So the mass is renormalized like this, for example, and the quantity coupling like that. I should highlight, so here what I've chosen a particular regularization scheme. I have chosen a hard cut off the momentum states because I've split modes into high momentum and low momentum modes. But this contribution to the renormalization is scheme-dependent. So the different regularization schemes like Tinreg or things like that, this power law divergence would be here, so I should never over-interpret such power law divergences because they are physical. Okay? Nevertheless, there's a corresponding piece that actually depends on the physical mass of the heavy state that comes with associated with the same UV coupling, and that's why often people heuristically associate the renormalization with the cutoff scale of the theory because it's similar. But you can talk about examples where they're quite different, so you have to be a little bit careful of over-interpreting power law divergences. Okay, so I won't do this, I will just ignore this physical contribution, and if I were to do Tinreg, I would even see it, I would only see these laws. But nevertheless, there's a large contribution in principle to this mass, unless somehow this UV coupling is very small. Okay? So if this UV coupling is of generic strength of order, this is order 1 coupling, then I would be renormalizing this mass by a large amount, and it would be a puzzle why I have this light field in the effective theory in the first place. Okay? So having light scalars in effective theory, in fact, without symmetry, it often looks unnatural for this reason. Okay? And of course, the hierarchy problem for Higgs is just a manifestation of. And for the intercom case, we will have a similar problem that we also want to have a scalar that's light relative to all of the high energy scales that we have ignored, and it's a puzzle how we keep this light in the presence of coupling for these UV degrees of freedom. Okay, that's one effect. Second effect is that it can create new interactions, new non-renormalizable interactions, in fact an infinite series of them. And so here's just one diagram that's consistent with this UV theory that induces a type-specific interaction suppressed by the mass scale of the heavy physics. But you know that these terms, they are irrelevant at low energies in the decouple if I choose the scale of the physics to be heavy physics to be very high. So that's the issue. So if I choose this scale n to be close to the Planck scale, then usually these make tiny contributions to the low energy direction. Especially for standard model processes, this will be completely irrelevant. But as we're going to see, for inflation processes like this, in fact, will make one contributions to the low direction. Okay, so this was meant to illustrate that everything that's consistent with symmetries of the full theory will be is allowed, and more than that, in fact, it's compulsory. So some order in this loop expansion, you will generate all possible contributions in this effective Lagrangian consistent with symmetries. So the toy model that I had previously, in fact, had a C2 symmetry. I was only writing even terms in phi. So there was a 5 to minus 5 symmetry, so I only should be generating terms that are even in pi, and it's actually do. And you will not be able to write a loop that has an odd power of pi as external. So it's inconsistent with symmetry of the Lagrangian, and so it's inconsistent with the final results of that theory. Okay. So in principle, famously, you have an infinite number of terms, but they can be organized in a power series of energy over mass. So in order to describe observables, you only need a finite number of these operators. So that's from the top down, it gives you kind of a sense for what can happen, and if the theory is conservative, how the IR complex depends on the UV coupling. This is not something I highlighted actually, but here you can see, for example, here I have 3 powers of the UV coupling. For the mass, I have 1 power of the UV coupling. Here I have 2 powers of the UV coupling. So for weakly coupled completion, the strength of the coupling to the UV. Okay? So this point one kind of illustrates this concern. Okay, but often it's the case that you actually don't know what most of the time, you know, it's the case that we don't know what the full theory is. And then we still use effective theories to write down an effective Lagrangian from the start, from the bottom up. So what we do is we identify the relevant degrees of freedom that we choose to describe at a given energy scale. So for the standard model, it will be all the particles in the standard model. You identify the symmetries that are relevant to those particles at that energy scale. So the gauge symmetries, for example, of the standard model. And then you write the lowest dimension operator that's compatible with these symmetries. And depending on the accuracy that you're trying to describe the experiment by, you include higher orders in that expansion or not. Okay, and yes, I hope this was very basic, but also technical. Any questions on this? Okay, so then now it's going to be very easy for me to apply the same logic and procedure to inflation. So here first we have to identify degrees of freedom that are relevant for inflation. And so at a minimal level what you have to have is you have 2 masses of very light fields, which are the interphone field and the graviton. What we've studied so far was a toy model that just minimally couples a canonically normalized interphone field with a potential to the graviton like this. But now this effective field theory philosophy obliges us to consider what happens when we allow for corrections added to this Lagrangian. And so we want to study what happens when I allow the most narrow set of operators for this theory. Okay. And we want to identify how strong an assumption do I have to make about these terms in order to preserve the success that I've kind of achieved by just studying this core theory that was simply, pretended to be ignorant about physics at very high scale. So the first question we might ask is what's the Adam lambda for this effective theory? Of course we don't know for sure, but we don't know what particles live at very high energy. But we have bounds. So since we're describing a theory coupled to gravity, and we know that graviton scattering violates unitarity at the band scale, it's hard to imagine that you can choose the cutoff scale to be larger than the band scale. And so typically we won't allow us to do this. Or at least we will consider it a very strong assumption if you're forced to make that leap of saying that the only heavy physics that we couple is something that's higher than the band scale. But we're going to see that this is one of the conclusions that we will be reaching, that if you run into trouble with the kind of over the band scale or larger. And then in any weakly coupled completion of gravity and quantum mechanics, you typically have weak coupling scales that suppress the kind of scale of the scale of the physics. So in string theory, the string scale are weakly coupled completions. Typically smaller than the band scale, and so we have an expectation that the kind of scale should be smaller than that. Second question then is, what are these Wilson coefficients Ci for each of the operators? Of course, for single operators, you can always receive Ci and that's just your kind of scale lambda. What I mean here is that once you fix kind of the kind of scale for one operator, what's the relative size of the Wilson coefficient for other operators? And the problem here is, of course, that we know very little about these complex to cascading degrees of freedom. Especially if we're not studying it explicitly in string theory. One of the motivations is going to be that we want to study it explicitly in string theory because we're going to be sensitive to what we are assuming about these complex. Okay? So my attitude here is that without a good reason, if we don't have a good reason, a typical Wilsonian maximalist, that we should be assuming order 1 couplings of all the fields not protected by symmetry at the cutoff scale. And that then, as we saw, will translate roughly order 1 Wilson coefficients in the low energy limit. But sometimes you do have a good reason, and you do have a symmetry that protects you from complex to massive fields. And that then also suppresses the possible irrelevant operators that they can generate. Let's talk about that a little bit. What is the about that here? Okay. In the absence of symmetries, you write down everything consistent with those symmetries with order 1 coefficient. Okay. And so these Wilson coefficients are order 1, if you choose Wilsonian naturalness as your reversible. Okay. Okay, so as I advocated, sometimes there's a good reason for suppressing couplings in the IR or in the UV. And most of the time, those good reasons are global internal symmetries. Like if you have a spontaneously broken symmetry, like the same as one here, you generate a shift symmetry for the angular direction here in this metric canal. And so that can suppress all Wilsonian couplings of the interphone or any other scalar to message state. The problem is that here we're trying to formulate the theory in quantum gravity, and so there's a law that quantum gravity doesn't like, spontaneous global symmetry. Certain thought experiments that you can do, also with evaporation of black holes that violate those spontaneous global symmetry. And so, okay, then you can argue about these coefficients and opposite, so maybe they come with upper W suppressed coefficients, or maybe you gauge symmetry and it becomes an accidental global symmetry in the IR. This is all fine. And these arguments are not supposed to be airtight kind of arguments of like Foucault. But then let it mean you're assuming some kind of structure. And it would be nice to establish that kind of structure that you're assuming in a theory where you have actual information about the context of UV degrees of freedom. Okay? And that's what people use as their motivation for studying information in string theory. So that you can actually use it to the concept of freedom. I want these things so they actually can have and so we want to use examples in string theory where it's very hard to make these things happen. So let me describe and so this part I want to do on the board so that we can discuss it a little bit. So let me describe what all of this implies for inflation. So how does this UV sensitivity of inflation manifest itself? So the two classic examples of sensitivity to UV dynamics of inflation. The first one is universal, which basically holds in any type of inflation model that you write down, and the second one is more specific. This is the universal one, which I'm sure you've heard about. So we have seen in the first lecture that in order for inflation to last, the theta parameter, which is defined with theta prime of p, has to be less than 1. And in fact, something I didn't quite show explicitly, but actually my note I said it as an exercise maybe to show, is that the theta parameter also appears in the slow roll prediction for the ns minus 1 theta parameter prediction. So in fact, you don't just have to have this less than 1, but you typically have to have this somewhat equal to 0.01. The size of the ns minus 1 deviation from scalar inverse. Also, in many models, in fact, the inverse of theta tells you the total number of people of inflation, which can be shared with the efficiency. So theta parameter is 1 over the total number of people who study. So in our claim to UC, you write it more physically as the mass of f of field in inflation divided by 3 times the upper parameter squared. Okay? So the potential test is like the upper parameter and the upper parameter times the mass. So what we're requiring is the small hierarchy between the mass of the field and the Hubble scale. Okay? So this hierarchy is sensitive to UV physics. For the reasons we saw before. Okay? So first of all, there's no protective symmetry acting on the field. It receives radiated directions. So this is going to perform the radiated direction for the mass of the scalar. In order to UV tumbling times the mass of the field. But this mass of the field has to be shown to be larger than the Hubble scale. Okay? Otherwise, one that can be active equation has to reevaluate how I compute my spectrum of okay? So any field, this Hubble scale is actually the scale of our experiment during inflation. That's when the motor is freezing out. And so we have to include all things that are light relative to scale in our effective theory that we describe as the energy scale of one Hubble. Okay? So we think of this as heavy because it becomes a part included in our this has to be shown higher than Hubble. Okay? And so this leads to delta eta G squared over Hubble squared, which is bigger than 1. On that, I have reason to believe that this also feels very weakly coupled to anything of higher energy scale. Okay? So that's the first effect that the UV physics can have, and then to have exactly the same physics on this scalar. And then the second effect that we can have is that you can have corrections from high dimension operators. So, for example, we can get a correction to the potential of potential, which scales as a leading order part of the potential, times phi squared divided by the cutoff scale squared, or x squared. And this leads to a correction in the eta parameter, which is a order m black squared over lambda squared, which again is greater than 1, or less. This effective cutoff scale can be chosen to be bigger than the vector. So it's kind of equivalent to that statement here. Yeah, I mean, we're coupling the two massive fields will raise the effective cutoff scale in this way. So you require the system of fields to be weaker than gravitationally coupled to everything living as a vector. Okay. And so the nature of these problems are different. So here, I think this problem we can appeal to a global symmetry because it's just a symmetry that has to hold at the level of relevant to marginal operators in this theory. But then if you believe this law that quantum gravity doesn't like that, you're obliged to add symmetry breaking operators to relevant symmetry breaking operators that become important at the kind of scale. And what we're seeing here is that even if you can arrange this, you're still taking the second issue. Just as a side remark, but don't also use